Welcome to a deep-focused, minimalist exam strategy session. If you are preparing for the 2027 Cambridge AS and A-Level Arabic Paper 2, I know exactly how you're feeling right now. The pressure can feel absolutely overwhelming, right? There's a lot of ground to cover. But today, we are going to completely remove that exam anxiety. We're going to calmly decode the 5 core essay topics: law and order, health and fitness, travel and tourism, medical advances, and pollution. We'll replace the chaos with a beautifully structured approach designed to get you a top-tier grade. So settle in, clear your workspace, focus up, and let's break down the exact architecture of an exceptional, high-scoring essay response.
To establish the stakes clearly right up front, these 5 specific essay topics account for approximately 15% of the total marks in your Paper 2 exam. Now, 15% might sound like just a fraction, but let's put that into perspective. That 15% is very often the exact, literal margin that separates one grade boundary from the next. It's the gap between a standard good score and a truly exceptional top-tier one. By mastering the framework for these specific topics today, you aren't just studying, you are essentially securing a massive foundational pillar of your final Arabic 9680 grade.
I want you to really look at this insight. This is drawn directly from the principal examiner reports, and it perfectly anchors our entire objective today. The Cambridge syllabus heavily emphasizes this idea. What it tells us is absolutely crucial. Passing this exam is not just about the rote memorization of advanced vocabulary related to, say, travel or pollution. It's really about building a conceptual framework. You need to build an intellectual architecture in your mind that calmly and efficiently adapts your high-level Arabic vocabulary to literally any prompt the examiners put in front of you. When you have this connected, conceptual understanding, an unfamiliar or weirdly worded question doesn't trigger panic. It simply triggers your methodology.
Here is our strategic roadmap for today's session. First, mastering core conceptual frameworks. Second, the standardized procedural sequence. Third, critical analysis and evaluation. And fourth, avoiding principal examiner mistakes.
Let's dive into Section 1, Mastering Core Conceptual Frameworks.
The absolute most crucial point examiners emphasize here is cross-topic connection. Principal examiner reports continually highlight that candidates who reference cross-topic connections achieve significantly higher marks. But what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it means if you're writing an essay on pollution, you don't just stay isolated in a pollution silo. You connect it to health and fitness by discussing the respiratory impacts on local populations. And you utilize complex transitional phrases to link those paragraphs seamlessly. Or, if you're writing about medical advances, you connect it to law and order by exploring the ethical regulations surrounding new technologies in the Arab world. Students who draw precise definitions and link these distinct syllabus areas demonstrate true elite mastery. You are showing the examiner that you don't just see the isolated pieces, you see the whole board.
Moving right along to Section 2, the standardized procedural sequence.
This 5-step framework right here is your absolute anchor in the exam hall. When you turn the page and see the prompt, I want you to take a breath. Don't just start writing blindly. Your first step is to calmly identify and extract relevant data from the stimulus materials. Follow that immediately by applying the correct analytical principles. From there, you execute your analysis with clear, logical steps. Then you verify your results. Basically, do a quick mental check to ensure your argument actually makes logical sense. And finally, you present it using precise terminology and flawless formatting. Memorize this flow. This systematic processing develops the exact professional-level skills that Cambridge examiners absolutely love to see.
Now here is a highly strategic official examiner alert regarding the method mark strategy. So many students lose marks simply because they don't show their working or outline their thought process. But the brilliant, beautiful thing about the Cambridge marking scheme is that marks are often awarded for the process itself. Showing clear working and a highly logical flow of thought can literally save your score, even if your ultimate conclusion somehow misses the mark. So the golden rule here? Never ever hide your reasoning. Put your intellectual process on full display for the examiner to reward. Let's shift our focus to Section 3, Critical Analysis and Evaluation.
To handle complex problem-solving seamlessly within heavy topics like travel and tourism, you need to rely on this specific sequence. Think of it like a recipe. First, deconstruct the given information. Say you get a prompt about the impact of ecotourism in the Middle East. Next, break your core argument down into logical, bite-sized analytical steps. Then, solve the prompt by directly addressing the core issue without drifting off topic. Finally, check your work for reasonableness and rigorously justify any recommendations you make with solid, irrefutable evidence. It's a calm, step-by-step deconstruction.
This slide perfectly illustrates how comparative analysis actually works at the highest level. When a prompt asks you to compare, a huge trap is just listing similarities in one paragraph and then just listing differences in another. You can't do that. True comparative analysis demands balanced evidence for both, woven together seamlessly. And the secret weapon here? You must use comparative Arabic connectives. You need to confidently deploy vocabulary that translates to phrases like, on the other hand, conversely, and similarly. You have to support each comparison with concrete evidence, and then explicitly draw conclusions about their relative importance.
Okay, if you want to reach those top-scoring bands, it is absolutely crucial to understand this specific progression. You simply cannot stay comfortably in the descriptive zone. Describing a medical advance is just the baseline. It just proves you know what the topic is. You have to actively push your essay up to the analytical level by explaining exactly how and why that advance works within or impacts society. And finally, you must reach the evaluative level. This is the absolute highest order assessment objective Cambridge has. To evaluate, you have to question assumptions, consider alternative perspectives, weigh different approaches against each other, and forcefully justify your final decisions with evidence. This upward rigorous progression is the exact mechanism that transforms a standard, average essay into a remarkable one.
Finally, let's look at Section 4, Avoiding Principal Examiner Mistakes.
Every single year, examiners see the exact same 3 pitfalls, and I want to make sure you avoid them completely. The biggest offender? Confusing cause and effect. The foolproof structural solution here is to map your causal relationships out clearly on scratch paper before you ever start writing. The second major issue is candidates forgetting to check their format and presentation in the heat of the moment. You fix this by strictly adhering to proper headings and clear, structured annotations. And the third massive trap? Writing answers that are far too generic. To completely neutralize this mistake, always extract your data directly from the given stimulus materials. This ensures your response is hyper-specific to the exact prompt provided, rather than just a memorized template.
Let's zoom in closely on that first warning for a second, because under exam pressure, students frequently confuse these two concepts. Remember, cause is the origin, effect is the consequence. For example, if you're writing about travel and tourism, an increase in international flights is a cause. The subsequent rise in local carbon emissions, that is the effect. Explicitly defining your causal relationships on your scratch paper before drafting your paragraph is honestly the single most effective way to protect your logical alignment. It acts like a guardrail, keeping your argument flowing perfectly in one single, coherent direction.
Now, you might be wondering, what happens if you are halfway through your essay, the clock is ticking down, and you suddenly feel your structural discipline starting to slip? How can you actually guarantee marks in that exact moment of intense stress? Well, it all comes down to trusting the systematic recipe we've built today and relying heavily on those vital method marks we talked about earlier. If you have clearly shown you're working, and if your underlying analytical framework is visible to the examiner on the page, you are still actively accumulating points even if the prose itself isn't totally perfect. Just breathe and keep your process clear. Let's pull all of this together into a final review. To truly excel in your 2027 Arabic IGCSE 9680 essays relies strictly on these core focus pillars. Number 1, practice deliberately with past paper questions to build that automatic muscle memory. Number 2, dedicate yourself to logical, step-by-step frameworks rather than relying on chaotic, last-minute brainstorming. Number 3, always verify your format and presentation conventions. Number 4, secure your method marks by showing your analytical work right there on the page. And finally, number 5, build robust cross-topic connections to demonstrate an elite conceptual mastery of the syllabus.
We have covered a tremendous amount of ground today, deliberately stripping away the complexity to reveal a clean, highly effective, and stress-free path to exam success. So I want to leave you with a question to really focus your mind right now. Which 2027 essay topic, law and order, health and fitness, travel and tourism, medical advances, or pollution, are you going to deconstruct for your very next practice run? I challenge you to apply this exact procedural sequence to that topic today. If you found this explainer helpful for organizing and calming your study strategy, be sure to seek out more of our exam masterclasses. Keep refining your skills, stay structured, and keep learning. You've got this.